Oh my goodness. Now this is going around, and this is interesting because the whole thing with Bond, and we've recapped that on a couple of Pixel Plastic Ink shows a couple of casts ago. Another round of shaken, not stirred. That's right. In a recent interview with GQ, Pierce Bronson, if you don't know, Mr. formerly Remington Steele and 007, is asked if he was aware of the calls for him to return as an older Bond or whether he would actually be open to it. While Bronson is 71, looks great for his age, admits that he's interested in a franchise return. He does not say that he thinks that it may be the best to let someone new take over. Check out his comments below. It's like, I've heard of that, of course. How could I not be interested? It would be a delicate situation now. I think it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. Really, I think so. It's rather a romantic notion and idea, but I think everything changes, everything falls apart. I think that it's best to let another man really fresh the blood. Now, it's been 23 years ago since his last Bond debut, but here's the thing. We were talking about how Amazon has a chance to do certain things. Would you like to see an old Bond series with Pierce Bronson? Because let's be honest, I thought his time as Bond was very short.
He had just as much time as everyone else. He had 5
Yeah,
movies.
but it seemed like.
Do you remember the guy that had the shortest amount of time as Bond?
Yeah, we do.
Lazenby.
Yeah.
Which I don't like that. For some reason, so many people love On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Except for the ending, I think it's trash.
Wow. Okay.
That's right. Because you know so much about Bond, you and I are going to be doing a Bond series on the channel now.
It's more Battlestar Galactica.
Dude, I gotta bring it in here with Tripping with Toys.
Yep, he's right.
BSG as I call it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was great.
Oh, the original show.
OG.
Yes.
OG.
Oh, I'm talking about TV. Yeah, I'm talking like we go. I'm not talking about like the new
the
one
real
was cool
Starbuck
too.
and Apollo.
Yeah, I'm talking about they had him strapped down to a 71 Ford Bronco and they were driving around the Universal backlots. Like that's what I'm talking about. Talking about going on Universal's tram tour. You're like, yeah, how the hell did he get the Cylons on here?
Which I want to point out for everybody watching that may not know this or may have not gotten to experience the Universal backlot.
Yes.
I'm just going to tell you right now, when you go there, you're for the rest of your life because you then realize that every movie you've ever seen is filmed there.
Yeah.
And it's just going to piss you off. So don't go if you haven't been, but you should go if you haven't been because it's also kind of cool. I don't know.
It did ruin Westerns for me.
I'm sure it did. Yeah.
It ruined a lot of things. So Richard, what do you say? Would you like to see an old Bond series with my man, Mr. Bronson?
You know what? Here's the thing. I would, because Pierce Brosnan suffered the one thing that no other Bond did, which was really, really bad writing in his movie.
Yes.
The scripts were, and it was just that era of films. Everything in that era was kind of cheesy. Now, granted, you had the 70s cheesy, which was different than the 80s, but the 80s just seemed something about the cheesiness of his Bond films just seemed a little too over the top. And if I consider it cheesy, that's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I would like to see him. I would like to see, because he's a good actor. He's a solid actor. I would like to see him in more of a dramatic Bond than the action star. And I think that would be just something we haven't really experienced other than in the books.
Yeah, he did a movie a couple of years ago where he played an assassin, and it was a very hardcore and I thought, like, if they would have brought that same intensity to Bond, because let's be honest, for years we saw him on Remington Steele and we were like, this guy's James Bond, and you know, he got unfortunately the same thing Tom Selleck did. He was on the shafted of a TV show where he couldn't have been Bond. But when he did get it, you were like, you guys could have upped it a little bit more for him,
Yeah, now they don't have to do a series. Like, if they could do just a one-off movie and do it like, hey, this is like the end of James Bond because they've already ended him once now. So this can be the old man Bond kind of a thing, like which could be cool. But also, like Scott Simpson says,
I saw that
Timothy Dalton. I love him. License to Kill is one of my favorite Bond movies of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the best.
Well, hopefully Amazon is, because we all know when Jeff Bezos goes online and says, "Hey, put up your poll who you want Bond," you might want to be crossing your fingers here.
Well, if he gave $1 billion for the rights, I'm sure he can give a couple $100 million to Pierce if he really wants him to come back.
Oh, I don't think Pierce would take that much money and everything. I think he would I think he would leap at the chance if it was a good script, because the last 23 years he's been picking some very good films.